Hi, this is Jerry Borger with 2 Pint Software. Today I'm going to cover the installation of StifleR Server 2.10. Let's first go over the prereqs. First off, you'll need Microsoft .NET Framework 4.8. If you're running on Windows Server 2022, you won't need to install this. It's already included in the operating system. If running on Server 2019, you'll need to download this separately and install it prior to the installation. The account that you use to install the software will need to have administrative rights on the machine. In our documentation, we reference 3 administrative security groups. These can be domain groups or local groups. They are referenced during the installation wizard, so it's good to get these groups created prior to installing the software. We also require the opening of 2 ports. This will cover the API access as well as client communications. It's good to have these opened up prior to installation. A license key you'll be prompted for a license key during installation. You can choose to use a 30-day trial, and then you'll need to add the license key later, or you can provide the key during the installation wizard, in which it'll be committed to the StifleR config file, or this can be added to the config file at another time. And please review the StifleR documentation. We cover a lot of information there, as well as server specifications, environment, and architecture factors as well. So let's go ahead and start the installation. Well, here I am on the Windows Server 2022 machine that I'm going to go ahead and install StifleR Server on. I've downloaded the MSI and I've prepared an administrative command prompt to execute the installation. I'll go ahead and execute the MSI now, and hopefully it'll look okay. Okay. So this is the StifleR installation wizard. I'll center it here. All right. So at the welcome screen, feel free to feel welcomed, and then go ahead and click next. At the end user license agreement screen, check the box to accept the license agreement. Hit next. At the select license type screen, you can choose to proceed with a 30-day trial. If you do have a license key, you can add it to the StifleR Server config file at a later time, or you can enter it here by checking this, selecting this radio button and entering the key here. I'll go ahead and continue with the 30-day trial. At the service logon credential screen, you can choose to use the default option to run service as local system. You can also create a local user account or domain user account, add it in here, and just be aware that that account will need specific permissions on the machine to be able to run the service. Please review our documentation for more information on that. Go ahead and click next. At the port selection screen, you have an option to type in the port number for client communications. By default, that's 1414. I'm going to leave it at default and hit test port. Looks good. That means that the port is open and no other app is using that port. I'll go ahead and click next at this time. At the select certificate screen, you can choose HTTP communications or HTTPS. HTTPS is recommended in general. But if it's the first time you've installed the StifleR server, you might not have a local certificate. So you can choose HTTP here, get the thumbprint off the certificate later, and modify your StifleR config file to go ahead and use that HTTPS cert. If this is an upgrade, you can just get the thumbprint, choose HTTPS, and enter it here. I'll go ahead and continue with HTTP for now and hit next. The destination folder screen gives you the option to choose the folder where all the program files are going to get placed. I'll just leave the default under C program files and hit next. The installation wizard will open up Windows firewall ports that are required. 1414 is the default for client communications. 9000 is the default for the web service API. That's also what the dashboard uses when it connects. I'll just leave the defaults and allow the installation wizard to open those ports for me. At the Select Administrators group screen, as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 groups that you can use to control access to the dashboard. Um, you can choose all the same here if you like. You can use uh, these names. This is an open text box where you can enter whatever you like. Um, I won't get into the details of what these groups are and how they're pretty self-explanatory. Please review the documentation for more information on this. I'll go ahead and hit next at this time. So at this point, ready to go ahead and install. I'll go ahead and hit the install button and we'll let it rip. Okay, looks like everything worked okay. I'll go ahead and hit finish. And we can now start doing some cursory checks to make sure that everything installed okay. Okay, so let's first go into services and I'll refresh it. And you should see the 2-Pint Software StifleR Server service added in here and status of running. That's a good sign. That means that everything installed properly and it's able to read the config file. There's no major issues here. We can also check programs and features and just validate that the StifleR server is showing up in programs and features. And we can double check, open up just to see the location that we installed. And you can see under program files, 2-Pint software, StifleR, center this. And here's where all the program files are installed or were added. This looks good to me. So at this point, I think its server is good to go. We can go ahead and move forward and go with the next phase. And typically that's installing the dashboard so that you can view, clients, network configuration, etc. That'll be covered in a separate video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see a link in the description for the video on how to install the StifleR dashboard. Thank you.